Well, I really think that Buckminster Fuller's theory of environmental conditions could easily be applied to the problem of interurban architecture, particularly as it applies to the high-density population areas in the Northeast.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Jeff.
Well, I really think, my real theory is that the environmental conditions here in the rec room would be absolutely perfect for the Fleetwood Mac. Let's go listen to him.
Baby, if you got the rock.
Back in the 60s, if you wanted your party to swing, you had to have a British rock group. And nobody swung like Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac.
So make me a dig and low. Yeah. So why don't you give it up?
In 1969, Peter Green was sitting on top of the world. In one poll, Fleetwood Mac were voted more popular than the Beatles. It was the heyday of the guitar hero, and Green ranked alongside Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix. He appeared to have everything: talent, looks, fame and fortune. American success beckoned. But while touring the West Coast, Green encountered the drug culture. After a few too many LSD trips, his world began to collapse. He decided to give away his money and retire from the music business. Things got worse. Green fell into a downward spiral of mental illness and has spent the last 25 years in and out of mental institutions. But now he's playing again and trying to put his life back together.
I stopped playing the guitar altogether. I'm practicing all the time now, practicing just for pleasure. As I'm creeping up to your mama, it's getting better and better all the time. And I won't stop now. I know I'll never stop now. I'm a steady rolling man. I've been for many years, I know.
Last year, he met an old friend from the 60s. This man, Builder Nigel Watson. So began the most unlikely comeback in the history of rock music.
He was very frail at first. The guitar playing on that was non-existent. And I would, finish work and go and have a practice with him, and it's amazing to see how far he's come back.
Nigel got me to start playing again, so I'm playing and I'm really enjoying it now. I'm learning everything that I used to overlook. Nigel was always a very basic guitar, kind of ordinary, not flash guitar player. I mean, blinding,
I'm quite proud of the fact that there's loads of guitarists 10 times better than me about, and it happens to be me who's playing with one of the greats.
To complete Peter's new band, a couple of seasoned professionals were drafted in: bassist Neil Murray and veteran drummer Cozy Powell. Neil and Cozy have played together over the years in heavy metal bands like Black Sabbath. Peter has called his new band the Splinter Group. Today they're rehearsing at the upmarket Stanbridge Studios.
You enjoyed the food, didn't you?
Loved it, yeah, it's fabulous.
Soon he will play his first concert in years. It's the beginning of a long road back.
Probably mango chocolate.
Probably lime pickle.
Yeah, that's what I'm for.
Yeah. Cheers, chaps.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good health.
Good luck.
Good well.
Been nice. I took too many LSD trips, and somehow I fell into a pit of some kind. I was hearing voices, I was smashing things and throwing things out of my front door into this kid's playground. The police came and they said, did you do that? I said, yeah. And they said, do you want to go into hospital, Long Grove Hospital? So I said, yeah, I think I will, because I'm too frightened to go back into the house. Because all I do is hear voices until they make me smash things. Well, the doctor who took me there said I was suffering from schizophrenia. I had a slight schizophrenia, he said. And he said, I think you're suffering from schizophrenia. I said, I gave me ECT as well, electric convulsion treatment or tests. They gave me that as well, quite a few times. I didn't want it. I said, I don't want that, whatever it is. And I don't know what they did to me, but you go to sleep and you wake up and your head feels like it's kind of different. It feels different, you know. That's what that stuff does, I think, you know. It gives you some right old damage, some right old ordinary bashing damage, you know. So you got one now, you've got two lots now, you know. The one you had before, and then you got another one, you know. Well, it sounds like you're saying one man will invent another man, will invent another man or something like that. It doesn't need to, you know.
The band are on the road travelling to Buxton to play the Alexis Corner Memorial Blues Festival. It's their first gig. Peter's return to playing live is being carefully guided by Mitch Reynolds and Stuart Taylor. Mitch is guitarist Nigel's sister and takes care of the personal side of Peter's comeback. Peter now lives in Mitch's house in Croydon.
I'm a close friend of Peter's for the last 30 years. I don't want to see any more bad things happen to him. And if I can help Peter to improve the quality of his life now, then that's what I intend to do.
I suppose so, you know, he could bear to part with my percentage.
But what we're going to do is look at the multi-track recording of last night, let's mix it down and maybe have a look at some film footage we've got to go with it and present that up to the two record companies.
Taking care of the business side of things is Stuart Taylor, an old-school music publisher who started life as a guitarist with the Tornadoes back in the early 60s. This comeback concert in Buxton has been thoughtfully chosen by Stuart and Mitch. Peter and Splinter Group will be able to try out a short set away from the glare of media attention, playing to a small receptive audience of blues enthusiasts.
Quite nice, this one. Yeah. Nice and light. Well, I didn't want Pete to have anything too heavy before he goes on stage.
This is a quiet start to a campaign that Stuart and Mitch hope will build to a headline engagement at the Guildford Folk and Blues Festival later in the summer.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a very, very special evening for all of us. The man that I'm about to introduce on stage hasn't played on stage in this country for
Does he want a towel down there?
I don't know what he'll be greatly regarded, but we please welcome on stage the legendary Peter Green, ladies and gentlemen.
Enjoy yourself. Have a good time.
When the day goes to sleep and the full moon looks, the night is so black and the darkness cools. You call me around, we're gonna do things I don't want to do.
Well done. Oh, hi, Brett.
On the feather. Nil.
Thanks, Neil. Did
you hear yourself?
No, it's great.
Did you get up a lather go?
No, I'm not
The audience loved
I'm not
you.
playing enough. Yeah, nice audience.
Loved all of you.
Very receptive.
Despite the crowd's warm reception, not everyone thinks the concert was a success. Cozy Pal worries that Peter's not yet ready for this kind of public exposure. He makes a quick exit.
I was very pleased for Peter that he got such a fantastic reception, because it just proves that people are really waiting to hear him play again. I thought the actual performance was a bit disappointing. Nigel's covered Peter as best he can, but I mean, again, he's not used to that situation. If Peter had 4 beginners, it would be a shambles. I'm not saying it isn't a shambles at the moment.
No, it's
People's expectations of Peter are higher than he's able to deliver at the moment. But Peter's well-being and mental state has got to come first, and the commercial side of it has to come second. And unfortunately, before it was the other way round.
It's flat. I have to beg people not to pressure me as well, you know, not to hurry me with decisions. That's the only thing. It can be dangerous.
He bought a house in Richmond and lived there alone, and I think that was probably the worst time for him, because he was alone, and he was hearing voices and he was hallucinating, hearing noises, felt very persecuted, and in fact was persecuted an awful lot by various people coming to the house. He was getting beaten up, all his possessions were being stolen, and he couldn't do a thing about it.
I wanted long fingernails, so I had long fingernails, quite long, but you know, over an inch long, or about an inch long. All of them, or 10, look really good, very interesting. Not too feminine, you know, not too feminine.
I'd gone to look at some beautiful old cars in Wandsworth and was with some friends, and one of them said to me, there's a tramp following you around the showroom. And I'd been aware of somebody sort of out of the corner of my eye being there, but when I looked round and saw those eyes, I recognised Peter. And he'd been following me around for a good 15-20 minutes, but wouldn't talk to me because other people were there. So I went over to him and I said, "Oh, Peter, you know, what are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just looking." I said, "Where have you come from?" He said, "I don't know." Well, I said, "Well, how did you get here?" "I can't remember." It just made me feel very, very sad. Very sad.